Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm John Ward, unaccustomed to microphones. Welcome to the Face-Off over Red Bank's future of Red Bank, sponsored by redbankgreen. I am the publisher, the former publisher of redbankgreen. I am the founder, and I have a new partner, Kenny Katzgrau. He and I put this event together tonight so that Red Bank voters would have an opportunity to at least get some passing acquaintance with the 15 candidates for office in this historic election that's coming up on May 9th. And I say passing acquaintance because with all these candidates and so many issues, we couldn't possibly have a free-for-all, so that we have to really be very tight on time. And unfortunately, because of that, we won't be able to take questions from the floor. We had our readers submit questions in advance, and so that's going to be the format, or part of the format. The broader format is that we're going to have a segment on the council race, which has 13 candidates, and that will be immediately followed by a segment featuring just the two mayoral candidates. Before I go too far, I want to thank a couple people. I want to thank the school district, Red Bank Schools, for allowing us to use this really nice room, and for their staff who have been very helpful in helping us set it up. I want to thank John from Mama Stereo, who's helping us with the audio. Kenny's running the video, and we have some volunteers from Red Bank Regional High School who are helping with the programs and so forth. And we have here Brian Donahue in a referee shirt for the purpose of serving as a timekeeper / referee, so that we do stay on track and everyone gets equal time. We've randomized everything. We randomized the seating order. Excuse me. We randomized the order of the names in the program, and we will randomize we've randomized the order in which the questions will be answered. So with that, let's see. What we're going to do is ask each of the council candidates to offer a 90-second opening statement before we go to the questions. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with Erin Fleming. Erin, you will have 90 seconds to begin.
You didn't get the order to get prepared?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Brian is going to signal to each of the candidates when you have 15 seconds left. And that's going to be, at the end, there's going to be a hard stop. So we're asking that there be no rebuttal. And I do need to point out that one of the candidates, Jacqueline Sturdivant, one of the council candidates, is not here in person, but she is going to be listening and speaking via cell phone. And Adrienne Bilal is her proxy. She is sitting at the table, and we'll do that. So where you see Jacqueline's name, that's Adrienne. All right. Let's go, Erin.
So thank you to John Ward for organizing this event. The indigenous tribes that lived on the banks of the Navesink believed in the 7th generation principle. You plan today for the 7th generation or 150 years into the future, but not just to secure the future, but to be able to adapt to dramatic change. That is the job of our town council. Do the work today to secure the future, even during times of dramatic change. Our town was a shipbuilding town, a commercial and manufacturing center, a steamboat port, and a retail center. Its purpose has changed throughout the years, but not its personality. Our darkest period was during the 80s, when the arrival of shopping malls closed many downtowns across America, and we lost our way. What happened next, and I was here to witness it, was the ability to adapt and change. The efforts of a new council and mayor in the 90s and their creation of River Center set a revitalization in motion that we are the recipients of today. Post-COVID, we're experiencing a paradigm shift again in Red Bank. People are coming. Do we want to grow? How do we want to grow? Do we want to grow weed? What I hear from residents is that They want at least to have their perspectives heard, and that voice comes from electing a formidable town council. Tim Hogan and Red Bank together are that council.
Okay, thank you. Next is Jacqueline Sturdivant. So Adrian Bulwell, please.
Jacqueline,
Yes,
are you ready?
yes, I am.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Councilmember Jacqueline Sturdivant, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to be with you today, but I had a business conflict. I am a homeowner for over 20 years and love everything about our town, our diversity, our families, the downtown, theaters, parks, and riverfront. Red Bank thrives on its diversity, on race, culture, ethnicity, social and economic status, and the residents work together. This is Red Bank's appeal. In 2021, I was elected for a 3-year term based on my 10-point plan. And during my 16 months on council, I have successfully launched hybrid meetings for all borough council and committee meetings, ensuring the largest resident participation first in person and also online streaming. I have assisted in securing full funding for the repair of the senior center and ongoing maintenance and timely repair for all borough assets. Incorporated street and pedestrian rules for the Red Bank Master Plan, honoring existing civility rules to ensure that all of our residents and business owners are treated with courtesy and respect.
So the next candidate to speak is Suzanne Viscomi, please.
Taxes, enforcement, and showing up. My name is Suzanne Viscomi, and I'm asking for your vote. This election is going to set the tone and the foundation for the next 100 years. Let me be honest. We all know Red Bank politics is very difficult. We've seen what has happened in the past and all the nonsense going on in town and online. I decided to run on my own slate, to speak for myself and to speak for the silent majority. I understand how it is to be looked over. I've been involved in Red Bank for over 15 years serving, and I'm very humbled being on the school board, being appointed by both fractions of the Democratic Party to the library trustee, being part of the animal welfare and other committees, but actually just being part of this amazing community. I believe actions speak louder than words. We're all here with our suits on, look like we're going for a job interview, right? We're gonna tell you what we wanna do and what we wanna accomplish. But I need everybody to really step back and look, what have we actually done? What have we actually accomplished? Not just words. I think my record of service for the last 15 plus years speaks a lot.
Thank you. Next is Kate Trigiano, please.
Thank you, John, and thank you to all the volunteers here helping out tonight and supporting our democracy. It's wonderful to see familiar faces and new faces in the crowd. My name is Kate Trigiano, and it's been an absolute honor to serve as your councilwoman since 2019. My husband and I have owned our home on Layton Avenue for 10 years, and our son Otto is now in 3rd grade at the primary school. I serve as an active volunteer firefighter and in multiple capacities that benefit the arts, environment, and public safety. As I stated on the day I was sworn in, you, the residents, are what drove me to care about our town so much. I promise that I'll always be accessible and transparent. Most of you know where I live, and you can come and knock on my door. For the last 4 years, I've upheld that promise and received many knocks on my door, especially when we as a community navigated the pandemic. I was ready to respond, delivering $20,000 of organic produce to residents in need, co-founding the Red Bank Reopens Committee, spearheading legislation to aid our businesses, and working with residents who were wrongfully billed for COVID testing, helping to secure their reimbursements. Pandemic or no pandemic, I will always have your back. Red Bank's Ready is looking forward to the near future when we can implement the projects, studies, and ideas that have laid dormant because of an ineffective system. We are the ones that reformed the system. Now we're asking for you to vote for us and put us to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Laura Janone, please.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Janone. Thanks for having us here tonight. I have lived in Red Bank for 23 years. I was active in the Greater Red Bank Women's Initiative, mostly on the voting committee. My background is nursing, especially community health nursing and nursing education. I taught at nursing from Monmouth University for 21 years. I currently teach for the School of Professional Studies at City University of New York online. During the pandemic, I coordinated the undergraduate students at Monmouth University giving vaccines at the 2 mega sites at Brookdale Community College and at Bell Labs. After retirement, I took on the role of the COVID outreach manager for the VNA of Central Jersey. I coordinated the vaccine and testing sites throughout Monmouth County, including testing and vaccinating at St. Anthony's Parish Center and the Red Bank Primary School. I also gave monkeypox vaccines at various locations in Asbury Park. At a time when our community could not be together, I administered vaccines to many of you. I have served on numerous boards over the years. I am currently the Standards and Practice Chair for the New Jersey State School Nurses Association. I'm actually missing a meeting right now. I just edited the school nurse guidelines.
Okay, thank
and wrote
you.
a chapter on pandemics. Thank you.
Ben Forrest is next.
I've lived here in Red Bank since 1996. Amy and I raised a family here. I guess the main reason I'm running is I just have such a love for our community, my neighbors, my neighborhood. I've been involved and an activist in Red Bank, I guess, since '96. I mainly got involved in the Democratic Party, actually, because it was a way to be involved in town. When we were a partisan town, you know, if you really wanted to be engaged, you really had to be either a Republican or a Democrat. Let's see. I served on the Charter Study Commission. I'm very excited about a lot of the changes that we made and recommended and the voters accepted. I guess big part of why I'm running is that I want to see those changes come to life. I want to see the plan be successful, the council manager form of government, having fewer elections, you know, more modern system where we don't meddle in the day-to-day affairs. I think there's a lot of great things that potentially can come out of this new form of government. And it's great to be up here with 15 candidates. And it's great to be up here. And, you know, I've been in that smoke-filled room where we don't decide in secret who's going to be the candidates. That's a real honor. I'm a Democrat, but I believe that democracy is more important than party politics.
Thank you. David Cassidy, who some of you may not be able to see because he's behind me here, but David Cassidy, trust me, is here.
They're not missing much. My name is David Cassidy. I'm a 15-year resident here in Red Bank. I moved here in 2008 with my wife to build our home and family. Upon moving here, I joined the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department. I'm a 15-year member. I am currently the captain of the Navesink Hook and Ladder, and I am proud to say that I was named Red Bank's 2022 Firefighter of the Year. I'm proud of my record of service. I don't shy from it. I believe you should serve a community before you attempt to lead a community, because only through service can you truly know a place in all ways. I served through COVID, I served through Sandy, I received state citations for my meritorious service in both. And I'm running to support our first responders, be they paid, be they volunteer. We need a stronger voice like Kate Trigiano. She needs a second person on council to back her up. Red Bank needs a stable and consistent and transparent government committed to proper process. The council should be a forum where residents are not just getting to speak, but they are actually heard. I had no aspirations to be a politician, and I aspire to be a resident who holds political office. We need a reset in leadership from people that serve this town, and if elected, I'm running with a team that will lead with an eye towards the future, and we will do all we can to restore civility to local government. And thank you to the volunteers. I've met some of those young people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Christina Bonatakis.
Hi. Move it. Yeah. Hello, thank you for this evening. My name is Christina Bonatakis. I've lived in Red Bank for over 13 years. I'm originally from Massachusetts, I'm sorry. But I did attend Rutgers University, majored in economics, minor in computer science. Today, I work as chief of staff for a New Jersey-based technology company, so I jump in anywhere in our business to solve particularly complex problems, lead strategic projects, And in that capacity, I've had to learn a lot of really good listening skills, the ability to synthesize a lot of information and come up with a good answer. I think those are going to help me on council. Along the way, I've also prioritized giving back to the community. I started on the Green Team, then the Environmental Commission, where I've sat for over 5 years, the Planning Board for over 2 years, including the Steering Committee for our recently adopted master plan. And that's something I'm really, really proud of. It's a plan that encompasses the vision of the entire community. I might have met some of you at the workshops that we did during that process. And I'm running for council really in large part to see that process through. Not only that, I am thrilled to be running with my teammates on Red Bank's Ready. This is an amazing group of people, and I really do hope you'll consider us. I couldn't be prouder to be here with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is John Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember John Jackson. Red Bank is a community with a strong connection to history, but we're also a community plagued by issues that don't need to be. And the time is now to choose the right leadership across the board who will preserve the Red Bank that we love. One way our community is connected to history is through our buildings. When you enter spaces like the Galleria, you're in awe of the architecture, but there's also a satisfaction in seeing new business there in a way that preserves Red Bank's history. Adaptive reuse such as this is what Red Bank leadership should pursue, not dense high-rises. Red Bank is also connected to history through Red Bankers ourselves. These everyday residents, those of us who attend services and events, donate our time, and help create our neighborhoods is what makes Red Bank what it is. We need to protect those residents as well, because they're being priced out of Red Bank. For example, at the high density rail, rents are $4,000 to $7,000, and who can afford that? Certainly not the average Red Banker. Many of these Red Bankers make up what I call the silent majority. They may not attend every council meeting, but they're deeply affected by these issues. More than ever, I'm reaching out to that silent majority to say, vote for, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nancy Facey Blackwood.
Right. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Nancy Facey Blackwood. Happy spring, and excuse my voice. Just a little bit about myself. I am a policy-focused researcher, a fierce advocate for the environment, my community, and for a transparent and effective government. That's why I'm proud to be running for council. My family and I moved here in December 2015, and we fell in love with the community. I really felt like I found my home. And as an environmentalist, I ended up joining the Environmental Commission in 2017, becoming its chair in 2019. Through my work on the EC, I became familiar with many departments in town as we worked on projects like the pedestrian safety project on Dr. James Parker Boulevard, curbside plastic film pickup program, and a grant we got from AARP to enhance walking within our community. I expanded my involvement when I got elected to the chair of the Charter Study Commission. Again, there's that research. As the chair, I led the research and meetings that resulted in you voting for a new form of government that would allow any candidate to run for office without party affiliation, counteracting the influence of party endorsements, as well as combine government with the values of effectiveness, efficiency, economy, with policy proposals that also promote equity. Now, I'm running because I know that Red Bank can be any better, and that starts with the council. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sean Murphy.
So both my wife and I were born and raised here in Red Bank, and for the past 27 years, we've been raising our own family here. I attended Mechanic Street School, River Street School, and graduated class 82 from Red Bank Regional. I have volunteered in several positions over the years, and I'm presently on the zoning board. We love Red Bank. Over the last several years, there have been discourse and arguing that has created a divide on the council. This divide has spread into our community and on social media, with residents insulting fellow residents. This is not the town I know. We need a council that will work with each other openly and honestly and be willing to compromise and listen to the residents and hopefully reunite our town. I promise to do just that. Red Bank faces many challenges. As I've stated before, it is time to restore Marine Park. and address our infrastructure, just to name a few. But the most important is the hiring of a new business administrator, one that will look out for the best interest of Red Bank and enforce the current ordinances and codes that are on the books. Together, vote for me, and we will bring Red Bank back. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Ballard, please.
Thank you, redbankgreen, for hosting this event, and welcome everyone in the audience and online. My name is Michael Ballard, and I'm running for re-election to the Red Bank Council with the Red Bank Together team. Over the past 13 years, since moving here in 2010, I have worked within our community as a coach, being one of the founding members of the Two River Little League, and as a member of the Borough Parks and Recreation Committee. I've also served as vice president of the Red Bank Borough School Board, before having the honor of being elected to the Borough Council in 2017. My dedication and devotion to our community has been constant and unwavering. During my time on council, I fought to save our senior center from being sold and keeping it as riverfront property owned by the residents. I passed legislation to increase revenue in the Code Enforcement Department and worked to create more open space for residents. While serving as finance chair, I saw a bloated municipal budget and began addressing the detrimental spending practices that has plagued this town for years. If elected, I promise to continue my focus on taxes to ensure that they are reasonable, equitable, and used to provide high-quality services that residents deserve. I will continue to focus on the quality of life issues that are so important to our neighbors, including sensible, controlled development that doesn't negatively impact its character.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finally, for our last opening statement is from Linda Hill.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ward. Thank you, Red Bank Green. And thank you to the many residents who've opened their doors to me these last couple of months. I've listened to you all. And while we may not agree on every single issue, I pledge to represent you by putting you, the residents, first. I'm Linda Hill, and I'm running for council because I want to put my skills and experience to work to help Red Bank thrive. I'm a mom, a nonprofit executive, an entrepreneur, and a pharmacist. I have succeeded in my professional life to get things done. I excel as a leader or part of a team when we need to accomplish critically important goals. Red Bank has many issues, such as the lack of a full-time business administrator, taxes and affordability, overdevelopment, code enforcement, parks and open space, and public safety. While there are many issues to manage, it comes down to partnering with people to reach consensus. If elected, I will bring civility and civic integrity, respect and value our residents, improve our core services and quality of life, and create a stable financial future. Please vote for me and our entire Red Bank Together team.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we're going to go into the speed dating portion of our program. Just to remind you, and for those who arrived late, I'm going to ask questions that were submitted to by readers of Red Bank Green, and each council candidate will have 60 seconds to answer the same question. And I'm going to start with the question, if you had to write a mission statement for Red Bank, what would it say? Laura Janone, please.
That's a great question. I think that the residents really deserve to live in a great town, which I think our town is great. It's walkable, it should be safe. I think that it should be affordable, and that we have a beautiful downtown area, and that should be kept nice and have lots of activities for everyone, not just some people, but from all age groups. I also think we should have a 5-year plan and stick to that plan with the new business administrator. Hopefully, we'll have some plans and the plans will go through, and that the council will work with it, oversee that person and have some goals and objectives for the town. And basically that's it. I want to listen to people and see what they want for their town and make it a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jacqueline Sturdivant.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, the question is, if you had to write a mission statement for Red Bank, what would it say?
Yes, thank you. I thank you for the question. I think one of the things is an emphasis on quality of life and respect for all people within Red Bank, particularly embracing the diversity that we have within this town. I think we need to focus on having vibrant businesses within our town that are for Red Bank people, and also having affordable housing so that people aren't forced to move out of Red Bank because they can't afford to live here, and to take into account the support that we have from our senior center residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Christina Bonatakis.
I would say a mission statement for Red Bank would be to increase the vibrancy of our community for all members of that community, regardless of where they live. We do that through effective governance that is sensitive to our long-term needs. And by long-term, I mean longer than an election cycle, which has been one of the problems we've seen in the past. That's the reason our municipal facilities are falling apart, et cetera, et cetera. I'm an environmentalist. I tend to prioritize that. So that means walkability, bikeability, focus on people first, which is going to add to the health of everyone in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nancy Facey Blackwood.
The mission statement for Red Bank would be that Red Bank is a welcoming, inclusive community, diverse, and we're a community that addresses the needs of our MVPs, our most vulnerable people, as well as our people that may not be as vulnerable. I would say that we would be accessible. Like Christina, I would prioritize the environment and making a community that is walkable and essentially a 15-minute town where you can get all your essential needs within a short walk or a bicycle ride. And we do have a long-term plan. We need to develop our capital program so that we keep our facilities in check, we keep our streets safe, keep it clean and safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Erin Fleming.
So mission statement, we love Red Bank and we love that you come to Red Bank, right, to the visitors. But when I look out in the audience, so again, I'm new, I'm not a politician. And I'm up here because I'm a resident just like all of you. And when I'm facing out at you right now, I can see the discord. And so what I want to see happen in Red Bank is communication, open communication. You know, we have this town, it's divided by a train track. There's this sense of, you know, east side, west side. I'd love to see all of that go away. I'd love to see communication where not only do we have a council meeting in the middle of town, but we have meetings out at the districts and understand what the problems are, because when I knock on doors, I hear what the problems are and I hear that people aren't getting results. So communication, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kate Trigiano, please.
Thank you. The mission of Red Bank is to be a beacon of diversity, sustainability, and community. Red Bank is a gem of Monmouth County, and it shines because of our local DIY businesses, our schools, and the hundreds of volunteers that we have that are involved in public safety, the environment, and all the issues that so many of you care about. Our main goal is to make sure that our government functions as well as we all know that it can. And the people that are running on the Red Bank's Ready team are the ones that ushered forward that change. We have the chair of the Charter Study. We have the other member of the Charter Study Commission. Mayor Billy Portman campaigned extremely hard for this change in form of government. I knew the second that I got into office that no real progress could ever be made on all of the projects that we're talking up here until we functioned better. That is our main mission, that is our goal, and I cannot wait until we have the opportunity to usher it forward for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Suzanne Viscomi.
Fail till you succeed. That's what I believe this town's mission statement should be. We have so much to tackle. Not just high taxes, not just helping, not just accomplishing projects. There's projects that are still not being done. And we talk about these teams. Well, see, I'm on my own team, and I know I'm going to be working with, hopefully with a few from one slate and a few from the other slate. It's kind of ironic, I'm sitting here in the middle. and being a part of different boards that are already nonpartisan, like the school board and part of the library trustee board. I think having one voice or one team or one slate is actually bad, because that's one voice. I love at the last debate, Mr. Cassidy brought up an idea and I was able to build upon it. And I know working with other people on the other slate in other capacities, we bring more to the table. Nobody knows everything. Not one team is 100% correct. Having another voice is very important for everybody.
Thank you. Next is Ben Forrest.
Well, obviously, Amy and I voted with our feet as we moved here when we got married. I'm just going to add, I would say that the biggest concern I have right now probably is just the lack of affordable housing in town and shrinking. I really don't want Red Bank to become a ghetto of the rich. I love this town. I love a lot of the things. I love all the neighborhoods. I probably couldn't afford to move here now. So I'm going to fight for that as a council member to try to keep us so that we have a little bit of everything. We got the rich, we have projects, we have great schools, we have a great downtown. I loved our event on Saturday and walking around and seeing all of you there. And it's great knocking on your doors, and thank you for your patience.
Next is Michael Ballard.
My mission statement is very simple, and I've practiced it, as I said, on the council. Municipal government is a service organization, and our customers are our residents. And my mission statement is simple: to provide high-quality service to those residents at a reasonable cost, keep taxes flat, and provide the services that you residents deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is John Jackson.
So as Red Bankers, our mission is to create a community that is progressive, rich in culture, and family friendly, with leaders that will do what they say they're going to do. And it's essential that as a community, we build this together. That's our mission. Thank you.
Linda Hill, please.
Thank you very much. As someone who's worked in nonprofits for decades now, I really appreciate this question, because identifying your mission, vision, and values and living them is critical to the success of any organization. And it's critical to Red Bank too. Very simply, I would suggest that Red Bank's mission is to come together and to live our shared values in peace and in harmony along this beautiful jewel of the Navasink. All residents, businesses, visitors are valued and respected in Red Bank. We find common ground, we find consensus, and we have transparency in our government. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Murphy, please.
So, Red Bank, we're a very diverse town. Where do we go? First, we start by paying more attention to the residents. That's what I think. That's why I'm running. I don't think that's been really happening for the past few years. I care about the downtown. I care about the housing. But first come the residents. We need to start listening to you. I haven't seen that happen in a few years, as I stated in my opening arguments. But downtown, we've got plenty of restaurants. Let's try and get some stores down there. It's a hip town. Let's keep it that way. We have a beautiful town, Red Bank. I want to keep it nice. I want my family to be able to raise their family and be proud of Red Bank like I am. We've kind of gotten away from that in the past few years, and I want to continue it.
And finally, David Cassidy, please.
Red Bank is a town that embraces and balances our best qualities. That's residents, businesses, the Navasink. I agree with Sean that it begins with listening to residents, and that we haven't had enough of that in the last couple of years in particular. We need to balance the historical with the modern. We need a town that we are a town that embraces an entire town as one. We need a Red Bank that's accessible to all and is forward-looking to the next generation, because more than anything, I want this to be the place that my son wants to remain and we can build a Red Bank where our children want to be part of for the years to come. And that's something that we need to work on, because we're losing too many young people. They're moving out, they're not coming back. We can do better.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to the next question. Under the new council manager form of government that begins July 1, where should the line be drawn regarding interactions between elected officials and borough employees other than the administrator? Please offer specific examples of what should and should not occur. And the first candidate to answer this one is David Cassidy.
We don't need elected officials interfering with the day-to-day all the time of the people who are on the ground running. However, if elected, there is a responsibility for oversight. But there's a big difference between oversight and putting fingers into a point where we create dysfunction. When I speak with borough employees, right now they're experiencing dysfunction. They're not sure who their boss is. This is something that the management assessment plan brought to light in our town. It was one of probably the biggest pieces that came to light. We need elected officials that actually respect the professionals who are hired to do their job, allow them to do their job, and support them to do their job, not tell them the best way how to do their job or try to step on their areas of expertise. We need to embrace those experts and actually help them to succeed on our behalf.
Next is Michael Ballard.
Thank you. The council manager will be different than what I'm used to, but I can assure everybody, I've not interfered with any borough operations in the day-to-day operations. I think the manager's job is to manage the town and the employees, and that's their sole job. However, as an elected official, when residents come to me with questions about why this isn't getting done, why that isn't getting done, it's my responsibility to know what's going on in the borough and to be able to respond. So the line is operational day-to-day, council manager. Accountability and oversight, that's the council.
Thank you. Next is Erin Fleming.
So I worked a long time in corporate, in a TV studio in a giant Fortune 500 company. And it blew my mind when I learned that currently there's no HR functioning in the town council. So we don't have a specific business manager running right now. And we have somebody who's doing two jobs, which that's ineffective. And so we need proper management, proper HR oversight, performance reviews, and the stakeholders that are going to be managed by this person also need to have approval of the hiring of this person, because that's the person that's going to oversee them. Thank you.
Next is Jacqueline Sturdivant.
Yeah, thank you for that question. For the roles of the elected officials, I really think this needs to be more on an executive level where the council is setting the vision, mission, long-term planning, and goals for the organization. I think that the elected officials should also be involved in the hiring of high-level officials at the director level, including a human resource management component of the town, and holding the directors accountable for what they're expected to do, and have performance reviews on an annual basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Janone, please.
Hi, I agree with a lot of what our colleagues have already said, but I think the people that do the jobs in town, they have their own education and certificates and are experts in that area. So I see the council as, I think Erin brought up that it should be HR and there should be performance reviews of the person that's managing the town. And we should be the liaison between the residents and the people that are employed by the town, but not in the daily working of what's going on. But if we see an issue, and as others brought up, then we would have to evaluate that person and see we could make things better. But we should always be listening to what's going on in town and have our ears open and be ready to talk to residents and go back to the people that are hired. Thank you.
Thank you. John Jackson, please.
So just to be clear, the council manager will be the one to interact with the department heads. But as Councilman Ballard mentioned, the council has a responsibility in answering questions to the residents as well. These people are our neighbors, and we are serving them directly. And let's be clear, communication is not interference. Diligence is not interference. And the council's role has to be there to counterbalance that council manager, to ensure that that council manager is holding the department heads accountable. You know, I love, Laura, what you just said as far as performance reviews, et cetera, because accountability and enforcement is something that the council manager and the council should be enforcing together. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne Viscomi, please.
This is an easy one because I'm already a part of this type of setup on the school board and also being on the library trustee. If there's a problem, we go directly to the head. For example, if I see something, I was at the primary school and I saw eggs. People must throw eggs on the playground. And right away, what I do is I text or email Dr. Rummage or the board president at the time. When I go to the library, I love seeing the staff and seeing what's new. And when people ask me questions, like you said, we know what's going on. I could tell them how much longer until the elevator's fixed. But if there's an issue, then I say, okay, let me take your questions to Eleni. So I'm used to this kind of process. We have information that we bring back and forth. When you hear people complain or have questions, again, I go right to Dr. Rummage or Eleni to get the information. So I'm used to this setup, and I can't wait to be part of it on the council.
Thank you. Sean Murphy, please.
All right, so this is like the softball, I think, tonight, because this is an easy one, right? Borough administrator is going to run day to day. We will set the rules that are in the best interest of our residents. We don't interfere. That doesn't mean, I live in Red Bank. I see these people every day. If somebody comes to me and they voice concerns or complaints that work for the borough, I'm not going to direct that employee what to do. Nobody should. As a councilman, I'm going to take it to that borough administrator. That's what he's there for. Why does this problem exist? What do you need from us to fix it? Or is there something bigger or greater? You don't need Sean Murphy to tell you how to run the Department of Public Works or how to run the police department. I don't do that. Ask me how to build an elevator, I'll help you out. Right? It's very simple, and it really isn't changed that much. We're just being clear. We're going to stay out of it. That's what the new government is.
Thank you. Nancy, please. Nancy Facey Blackwood.
Thank you for that question. I just want to say one simple thing, chain of command. In the council manager form of government, it's very similar to, as Sue mentioned, with the Board of Ed. The manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations. Council, by statute, should not be going directly to any department heads. They should be going straight to the administrator and working through the administrator. If a resident comes in with a concern, you send it to the administrator and let the administrator handle that. What we've seen, and through our experience working on the Charter Study Commission, is that chain of command is not being followed. That leads to employees not really knowing who their boss is. Employees living in fear. Well, if I say something, I could get in trouble. I could not get reappointed. So that's why we need to have chain of command.
Next is Kate Trigiano.
Thank you for that question. And I'll just piggyback off of that by saying that that is exactly how I've operated my entire time on council. When a resident brings me a concern, I send it via email to the BA, regardless of who that BA was in that position, and I say, please advise, thank you. That is the next step. I also wanted to provide some clarification. There's been a lot of talk about the interim borough administrator that we have currently. That's in place because there was this new form of government that was coming. You have to understand, nobody was going to come here and work for a contract and take over that position knowing that new people were going to come in and hire again or do something at that moment in time. So we were extremely fortunate to have a professional in the borough who understood the day-to-day operations and was able to satisfy that function. I wanted to go back to what Mr. Cassidy said about the council, the management enhancement report in 2018. That did say that borough employees felt like they had 10 different bosses. And if you look at the termination and the number of terminations of employees over a very short period of time, there has been major meddling in the borough, and a lot of them are sitting over here on this slate right now. They also publicly
Okay.
oppose
We're
nonpartisan
cutting you off.
elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben Forrest is next.
Thank you. Of course, anyone on the charter study report on the borough website, you'll see a detailed account of this, as well as a management enhancement report. I was on the charter study commission. I interviewed a lot of employees, as did the rest of the commission. And the borough form of government, you can't even go back to as an option. The stuff we have, because it's obsolete. The state doesn't want towns to go back to it. There are a lot of towns that still are doing it. But meddling and having 10 bosses is just a nightmare. And it's one of the reasons we've had challenges in town. And it continues, because just the beginning of this year, they actually weakened the manager such that it is. So it's an ongoing battle. And we really, on the Board of Education, we hire a superintendent, we supervise the superintendent, we have career goals, we have tasks, and that's the way it's going to be done. And I'm not going to be in the council if that's not the way it's going to be done. Accountability has been a chronic problem in this town. I never really got a good answer on why the facility is in such terrible shape.
Thank you. Next is Christina Bonatakis.
Thank you for this question. Look, hiring our new borough administrator is probably the single most important, most significant action of the new council, maybe for their first year, given the importance and impact of this. This person has to be a strong partner, a skilled leader to run the day-to-day while we set the general policy direction. And they have to be our go-to. We can't continue creating confusion for employees of the borough by going around this individual. That's exactly what our residents voted against when they voted in this new form of government. I'm also concerned that we're going to lose out the best talent for this role based on the history of opposition to a strong borough administrator displayed by the incumbents on the Red Bank Together slate. Thank you.
And finally, on this question, Linda Hill, please.
Thank you. As a leader in business, I can tell you what much of you already know, and that is that employees are either going to sink the borough or they're going to help it soar. What do we want? We want it to soar. We need to support our employees. What happened under the prior business administrator was the human resources employee left, and that business administrator subsumed those responsibilities. This is not right. I do second and third and fourth, I guess, what everyone has said about performance reviews and chain of command. What we need is a professionalized borough, and that starts with hiring a borough administrator who knows human resources and respects it and will treat our employees like we would all want to be treated if we worked for the borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to the next question. Another reader writes, like many of my Red Bank friends, I plan on voting for people from different slates based on my opinion of the person rather than the slate. Do you think this is a good idea? If yes, say why. If no, tell me why I should vote exclusively for your slate. And we're going to start with Laura Janone.
Well, I think I'm running with an excellent slate of people from a lot of different backgrounds on our team, Red Bank Ready. We have Kate Trigiano, who's already served on the council. She's a volunteer fire person, done many, many things in town, which she already brought up. We have two people that have served on the Charter Commission, which people in Red Bank voted for, so they have that expertise. We have people that work in the Environmental Commission. We have people that worked on the Planning Board. David Cassidy is also a firefighter in town. And Ben Forrest also serves on the school board. So I think we all bring something to the table. So our team together was put together because we all have expertise in different areas, mine being public health, but other people have other expertise that we've talked about. So I think our team would work very well together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Cassidy.
I understand the concern. It's human. I mean, people are going to look at the variety of people and they're thinking about checkerboarding. However, we constructed a slate to share resources but with an eye towards all the different issues that are facing Red Bank, be they on a planning level, be they on a public safety level, be they on an environmental level. We've put together a team, and one of the very first questions I asked when Kate and Billy called me was, can we disagree? And the answer was an emphatic yes. The second question I asked is, will we be very supportive of the volunteer fire department? The second answer was yes. And I said, cool, good, so we can disagree and you're gonna back me on my primary issue. We have disagreements, and that's really, really healthy. I think one of the most unhealthy things we're seeing currently in government is we are seeing people voting in blocks. The qualifications of the people I'm running with are astounding. I'm in awe of Dr. Janone in particular. I've gotten to know her really through this campaign. But we have a commitment as a slate that we will work together, we will talk politely, and we will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Jackson, please.
So of course, every resident has the right to vote the way they wish, but why should they choose the Red Bank Together slate in its entirety? Our slate works well together. We've been running a campaign now for months, and just as the supermajority on the council now works well together, we can disagree with one another in a civil manner that still gets things done. When we disagree, but we keep the goal in mind of what we need to achieve. And the other single reason that's very important is that we come from diverse backgrounds. We don't all come from the Democratic Municipal Committee. We don't all come from the Planning Board. We don't all come from the same party. The Red Bank voters asked for nonpartisan, and we delivered with our slate, Red Bank Together. Thank you.
Next is Jacqueline Sturtevant.
Great, thank you. I really support the colleagues that I have on the Red Bank Together team. It's a Red Bank group that is nonpartisan, which is why this change of management is coming to place. They're all professionals in their fields with a wide spectrum of success in all of their fields. As is noted earlier by my former council person, we don't always agree on everything, but we have good discussions, we collaborate, we work towards the middle, and really work together to do some problem solving and actually deliver solutions for the town. So I'm very happy and proud to be on this team, and I think we are the winning ticket to move Red Bank forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Ballard, please.
Hi, I support the Red Bank Together ticket, although private vote, I encourage people to vote their conscience. But our ticket was put together specifically because of the professional background experience that our slate brings. And when we start talking about hiring that one council manager who's going to run our day-to-day operations, we want people who have that business experience and have gone through this process and hired people before. So I support the Red Bank Together ticket.
Thank you. Kate Trigiano, please.
Thank you very much. I'll give a few main reasons. One, our main responsibility as council members is legislation, to write strong, appropriate, applicable legislation. Currently, Red Bank Together holds the supermajority of the council, which has been stated. And what we've witnessed since January is that they cannot write legislation. We've seen that the cannabis legislation went in front of the planning board last night and was unanimously rejected. We saw what happened with the short-term rental legislation, how confused our residents were. We've had countless special meetings called since January. And by 4 years on council, even during the pandemic, we did not call this many special meetings because people couldn't get their documents and stuff together. The last council meeting, 3 items had to be tabled because the documents weren't together to actually execute it. The people I'm running with understand policy, they understand how to write proper legislation, and that's the main goal of your council, is to write your legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina Bonatakis, please.
So why should you vote for all of the Red Bank's Ready team? We are all doers. We show up. We're proven to show up. We're qualified. We don't agree on everything by any stretch, but our experience covers environmental leadership, education, public safety, public health. We balance each other out. I love that Nancy and I can riff on a complete streets idea, and I know that Ben is going to remind us about what that means for school kids. Yeah. And Kate and Dave are going to remind us what that implies for fire and public safety. And Laura is going to make sure that those complete streets are also leading folks to their health services. That's what you get with this group. And I think it's worth voting for each member. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Murphy, please.
So obviously I support Red Bank Together. We have a great team. We've heard tonight, human resources, treat your employees. Red Bank's a business, whether you want to admit it or not. We have a $20 million budget roughly. When I heard Tim Hogan was coming on, it sold me. We need to start looking more at the business. Our team doesn't agree always. I don't think anybody up here will agree on everything. That would be a straight out falsehood if you believe that. I'm not going to say anything different than the rest except this. It's not up to me though. It's up to the residents. I think the residents can tell who can work with who can perform on the council without being disruptive, who can get things done. That's what it's up to you. What I think as far as that goes, I leave it to you. Thank you.
Suzanne Viscomi, please.
Well, I support my slate wholeheartedly. I believe in myself. All joking aside, I personally didn't want to run with a slate. I believe hard work, learning how to run as a candidate is important. I'll be honest, it's a little easy. I'm a little envious. You got your campaign manager, you got your business people, you got all your friends putting up your signs. I got my friends, I got my core people helping me out. But I can speak for myself, and I like that. And I'm willing, obviously, if I'm on my own slate, I want to work with a few people from each side. You know, I'm going to quote Tri-City News here. We shouldn't have a king, and we also shouldn't have a queen. We shouldn't have one team running everything absolute. That's why I don't believe we should have one group, because you have no recourse, right? You go to your mom, can I stay up late? No. You go to your father, maybe he'll let you stay up late. I think having another voice will give people another option. If they don't listen to you, and they don't always. We have bad losers and we have bad winners in the past. You always should have another option.
Nancy Facey Blackwood, please.
Thank you. When you look at the Red Bank Ready slate, I want you to think about public health, public access, public safety, public good, public education. We are the doers. As they say, in times of crisis, look for the helpers. We know how to help. We have all the experience working within the borough to understand what is needed and how to go about it. My members of our slate, we take extra classes that teach us more about government and how to do effective government. We don't agree all the time, and yet we all work towards a solution that works for everybody, putting the priority on our residents. Since January, I've seen the way that council has behaved in a committee form of government, or rather commission form, which is no longer valid, and it's just chaos and confusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben Forrest, please.
You have the choice, of course, to do whatever you want in there. You don't have the 31% advantage the Democratic Party had before. And actually, I want to thank Kate, Councilwoman Kate, because you voted for these changes, as did another former councilwoman in the audience tonight. And that made this whole thing possible. Mayor Portman, who courageously campaigned on the issue of change. And change is not easy. It's really hard. And you know, everybody's now converted now that the voters voted 2-1 in favor of these changes. But you know, the people on the Red Bank Ready team actually supported these changes. In some cases, weakening the Democratic. I mean, I'm a Democratic committee member. I voted. I could have flip-flopped. I could have said, let's stick with the old partisan system. Let's continue making the nominations in a smoke-filled room. But I said no to that, as did the rest of my party. But we're very obviously independently minded. And I think it was very courageous, actually, to do what we've done. And I'm honored to be on your ticket.
Thank you. Erin Fleming, please.
Look, collectively up here, this is a wonderful, talented group of people. I'm sure we could take over Washington if we could all get together and run on one slate. But that being said, it's a small town. And, you know, again, I've joined late to the political scene. And I just feel like the discord has to stop. And maybe the only way for that to happen is to pick one slate. That seems to be working together. So we've attended a lot of meetings. It's a lot of energy to run, and you sit in a room and you discuss. And the Red Bank Together team can solve problems. And we've got a diverse set of skills, and I just feel like at this point, Red Bank's ready for Red Bank Together.
And Linda Hill, you bring up the, you finish us off with this question, please.
Okay, thank you, John. I'm a Democrat. I voted for Reagan. It took until until Bill Clinton for me to actually vote for a Democrat who won the presidential race. That being said, I think that the voters spoke and we are listening to them. We decided, no, we were not going to just seek out other dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. We spoke to independents, and 2 of them are on our team. We spoke to Republicans, believe it or not, because why not? We all can bring great ideas. I would work with anyone on this dais right now. I'd be happy to. It's up to the voters to decide who will be on the council and who will be the mayor. But I am very proud to tell you that I'm running with Red Bank Together, and I'll discuss it with you at any point in great length. Very proud of this team. Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, we're on to the next question from a reader, Red Bank Green reader. What is the foremost lesson of the four-year shutdown and reconstruction of the senior center that might benefit Red Bank in the future? And the first person to answer this is Suzanne Viscomi.
If anyone went to the last council meeting, I mean, I was there, I recorded it. You might have seen it on, I think Nancy called it, or one of you called it Viscomi Vision.
I call it Viscomi Vision.
There you go. It's deja vu. We just have the same problem with our firehouses. We have the same problem with DPW. We had major problems with the council chambers, with the AC unit and everything. So it really comes back to planning. One great thing, and I think Ben can attest to it, on the school board, we did a 5-year plan. And unfortunately, COVID happened. Because we knew what we had, we knew what resources we had everything organized, we were able to pivot. We were able to pivot to make sure all our students got laptops, because at the time, not every grade had it. By being organized, having a plan, being clear, good communication, I think what happened with the senior center was disappointing. It took too long, and thank God they didn't move it, right? SOS, ladies.
Erin Fleming, please.
So the other day I was at the ribbon cutting for the senior center. It's something to be proud of in town. It's a place for the seniors to go, and it is now going to be divided and be part of our park system, some of the land. The dysfunctionality of how that came to be, that's what needs to be addressed. And that comes down again to the right business administrator, because part of the problem was that you'd have to do your research because it gets very convoluted, but there were people trying to shut it down. And it's a gem, it's a necessary part of Red Bank, and the costs associated with fixing it could have been avoided.
Linda Hill, please.
Thank you. The senior center. I attended some of those rallies. I'm in awe of the people who stood up for our seniors and said, no, we're not going to move it. We're not going to sell it. We're not going to listen to the redevelopment agency that was supported by the prior majority on the council. We are going to keep our senior center for our seniors. So that has my respect. And we're here today because of those people. So they deserve a round of applause. And Erin is absolutely correct. We ended up with a very large bill for that senior center that didn't need to be. Thank you. I'll just say, yes, I totally agree with that. Thank you.
Michael Ballard, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm proud to have led the charge to save the senior center on the property where it sits on the swimming river. It's municipal property that was neglected by the prior council and the administrator, who is on record saying that that property was slated to be developed. And for a borough that owns very little riverfront property, I just felt that that was a bridge too far. And I'm proud to have stood up, and I'm proud that it is still here with us on the swimming river. And as Aaron pointed out, will soon be part of our park system.
Sean Murphy, please.
So everyone knows my father was a big part of getting the original center up and running there. It was shameful what happened. It's that simple. I hope we learn. I'm not sure we have. Marine Park's in the same shape 10 years later. We should have fixed it right away. Our seniors don't ask for much from us. We let it sit for that long. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Doesn't make sense today. Shouldn't have happened. We fixed it right away. We could have done it for half the cost. The fact of even thinking of selling that property bothers me. We have, I think, 4 properties on the river in Red Bank: Marine Park, Maple Cove, Riverside Park, and the Senior Center. We should have more. The rivers are jewel. We have very limited access for a town that lives right on the river. I hope we learn from the Senior Center. I truly do. Thank you.
Nancy Facey Blackwood, please.
First and foremost, the original problem started with lack of capital planning. Your roof will not last forever. Your fire suppression system will not last forever. Because it was not properly maintained, the senior center fell into disrepair. Council voted 2 times to reject the bids for the fire suppression system, and then it went to the redevelopment agency to take a look and see what could be done. When you have a major problem in your home, what do? You look at all the options. And I believe that's what the redevelopment agency had done. Now that it is fixed, we had COVID, we lost a year, prices went up. I'm very happy that the senior center is open. My mother loved it. She was there all the time. But the problem is that this council and previous councils don't have a capital plan and strategy, and that's what has to happen.
Laura Janone, please.
Hi, so I agree with a lot of people have already brought up, especially capital planning. And I think it's not, I'm happy the senior center is open. It's a beautiful senior center. I'm a senior and I'd love to use it. But I know people on my block that went there and really enjoyed it. It was a shame that things went as far as they did with maintenance. And there's other facilities in our town that are falling the same way. There's trailers where the Department of Public Works is. I think someone else brought up Marine Park. So that if we know that things are, if we maintain the things that are there that are beautiful and keep them up to date, like some people mentioned, that we keep our own homes and our roofs and everything, then when you go to fix one thing, you don't find that all these other things are broken and it costs all that money, which is what happened at the senior center. Thank you.
Kate Trigiano, please.
Thank you. The main thing I learned through the senior center debacle is to always stand by the truth, even when people are lying. I was in office for about a month or 2 when suddenly the pipe burst in the senior center. It was confusing. It was a strange time. I remember they were trying to work with the insurance companies. Looking back, we all wanted the senior center to be there. The one suggestion I had made was, wouldn't it be great to have affordable housing for seniors above the senior center? We don't have a lot of land in Red Bank. Where would we be putting our affordable housing for our seniors? And that's the type of thinking differently that we're open to on our team. It's not, something that's a detriment, it's a positive. Let's look at our spaces and think about the multi-use that could have been done. I was proud to be the senior center liaison during the time when we actually approved you can look back at the legislation and see who actually introduced the legislation to fix their senior center, and you can look back at who actually held the public information sessions where the public gave their comments on the architecture, and it was me. It was me. Thank you.
Jacqueline Sturdivant, please.
The truth hurts.
Wow.
Great. The senior center is a cornerstone for Red Bank. And it's a great gathering place for our most valued and devoted residents within Red Bank. And it was really heartbreaking for me to see that it was taking so long for the senior center to be fixed. So I really want to give a shout out to the Fix It Now group in terms of focusing this and keeping it on the forefront. I'm really happy that I was able to work with multiple council members, including Councilman Ballard and Zipridge, to find about $800,000 to support the new and improved senior center. But I think, again, we really need to focus on planning and not having a reaction to everything in terms of moving forward, in terms of how we make all of our assets within Red Bank reasonable and usable for all of our residents to enjoy.
Time.
Okay, thank you. Ben Forrest, please.
I did attend the rallies. I love our senior center. It's the nicest one we've ever been to, that I've ever been to. And it'll never move and will stay there as long as I'm a council member and I have enough votes. I do think, however, that the issue has been politicized for obviously political purposes. I'm not quite sure what happened at the municipal level. I was sitting in all those council meetings. I never heard a proposal to sell it or anything like this. I know there's some theories. I know there's some brainstorms that maybe the redevelopment agency had, but it certainly never got to the dais at the council meeting that I ever attended. And Kate's actually correct. She's the one who did vote to finally fix the thing, but it should have been fixed right away. In fact, we shouldn't have even had the problem. There shouldn't have been a leak. The building should have been inspected and fixed right away. Instead, we spent $2 million to gut it and rebuild it, and that's, well, I'm glad we have it back, but I'm not thrilled about spending $2 million to fix it.
Christina Bonatakis, please.
Thank you. So the truth that some folks on this stage aren't being totally transparent about is that the portion of your tax dollars that actually go to the municipal budget is fairly small. The amount of that that's truly discretionary is even smaller. So one way to actually make efficient use of our tax dollars is, number one, doing things right the first time, and actually focusing on maintenance of our capital investments, unlike what we did with the senior center and ended in this debacle. I'd also like to point out, have to highlight here, the willingness of some of these folks to tell out and out lies and then set themselves up as a savior. It is up to you to decide if you want that to continue on your governing body. Thank you.
David Cassidy, please.
The primary lesson from the senior center, I'm glad it's coming back. That lobby was dedicated to a very good man, and it was very well deserved. But we need to stop waiting for a crisis. We need leadership that's going to actually be anticipating. I want to build on Nancy's point about we need a proper capital plan. We're at a crisis with the DPW center. The fire department's advocating to try to get ahead of things, and we're having problems there. We need to anticipate issues before the crash. And one of the reasons I'm so proud to be running with Billy Portman is that he's out there actually listening right now, so that when a new business administrator is hired, he will be in a position where he can actually discuss and anticipate some of the issues. Billy's out there, he's listening, he's doing the good work, he's trying to anticipate these issues. We need to just stop waiting for problems and waiting for crises. We need to actually anticipate them, plan for them well into advance before they are that level of a problem. I'm glad it's back, though. Thank you all for doing so.
John Jackson, you'll complete this round.
So the values of a community are reflected in how you treat your most vulnerable populations. The fact that the senior center was delayed for political purposes or for whatever reason was unconscionable. And I would like to call out those in the audience, I see many faces, who rose to the occasion to really advocate for reopening and getting it repaired. And that actually includes council members Sturdivant and Ballard. It's not a lie that they fought to reopen the senior center. It's the absolute truth. They were out there, they were advocating, they were rallying along with some of our residents that I see in the audience. So if you want the truth, that's the truth, and please believe it, because they are people who do the most important thing by making people the priority. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, the next question is, and unfortunately will be the last question before we get to the closing statements for the council candidates, is how are you going to reduce taxes in Red Bank as the middle class is being taxed out? And the question goes first to Laura Janone.
I know that the other slate is running on flat taxes. I don't really know that that is able to be done. Things go up every year. Salaries go up, supplies go up, things go up. I know that we pay taxes for infrastructure and clean water and all the services that we get, our schools, which are very important. I have traveled to places where there is, I've been to Haiti 3 times in medical missions, and where there are no infrastructure, no clean water, no sewers. I think that taxes are there to make your community better. I don't think there's any way to keep them flat when the prices continue to go up. I think we should be wise and watch them, but unfortunately, we do have a lot of great services, and we should appreciate what we have, and that's what taxes go to. I don't think they can be kept flat.
Erin Fleming, please.
So yes, I think the Asbury Park Press just wrote an article about how municipal tax in Monmouth County is actually, the rate is decreasing, but our taxes are going up because our property values are going up. So capping the tax at this point is probably the best in the interim that we can do. I don't see a decrease being able to happen, but it's what we get for that tax. If we're happy with what we're getting for our tax, then there's not a burden. You know, there's an idea floating in the state about shared services. Small towns tend to love their fire departments, their police departments, but we could combine towns and have shared services. We could make deals with American Water and decrease our costs there. There are solutions, but some of those might not be palatable to everyone. Thank you.
Ben Forrest.
Well, I'm on a board of ed, so you can blame a significant amount of those taxes on me. I can't hide from that. We have mandates and we don't have enough state funding. And I put our kids first. You know, they don't get everything. One year I had to coach a soccer team off the books because we had to make cuts one year when there were a lot of funding cuts in the state. I will do my best to make sure to read the paperwork, to spend money as efficiently as we can, and to look at all of our options, you know, around our various utilities and whatever. I'm interested in controlling that. Was it about 25% of I think our local taxes goes to the town, roughly. I'm a long-term, I'd like to think long-term and not just, one of the great things about changing our government is we're going to have fewer elections. So I want to make more long-term, I want to do long-term thinking here and not, you know, the next election cycle and 6-month thinking. Am I done, Brian? Thank you very much.
Suzanne Viscomi.
I never make a promise I can't keep, and I promised to read the budget. A couple years ago, I asked a question at a budget meeting, how do we have a negative surplus? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? They didn't realize there was a formula wrong in the state Excel package that there was a negative surplus. Number one. Number two, we have to plan needs and wants. Yes, everything goes up, but right now, we don't even complete what we're doing. For example, the water meter project that's supposed to save us money hasn't been completed. It's been up there for 5 or 6 years it was passed. Back in July, they talked about the ASPCA contract, how we're spending $4,800 a month, right? $4,800 a month. They came twice in January, twice in February. That's not really a good bang for our buck, right? So we got to look at everything. I think being a person, I help run the school budget and I work with the library with their budget. So I have experience and I like to bring that experience to the council.
Thank you. Linda Hill.
Thank you so much. Taxes, death and taxes, right? I think actually that our finance committee has done a good job in trying to hold our taxes as steady as they can. And it comes down to our personal priorities, where we as a community want to see our money spent. And so I loved seeing all of the folks who've been coming out to the council meetings, because when you express your opinion about where the council should spend their money, the council should listen. I agree with many of the comments, though, this evening, and it will be difficult to actually come in at a lower tax rateable than we are. But I think that the team that I'm with, Red Bank Together, can help solve some of those problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline Sturdivant, please.
Yeah, I think there are multiple options that we have to manage our taxes, and I want to, just say thank you to Council Member Morandi for managing our budget and being the chair of the Finance Committee, because she's done a great job. But I mean, the best way to tackle this is to really, track our increases and, and look at the bottom line, and also look for other options in terms of shared services that was mentioned earlier, and then having partnerships with either companies within Red Bank and outside of Red Bank to see if they can support us in helping some of the developments that we have.
Michael Ballard, please.
So as a career financial analyst, I've looked at our budget for the last 5 years, and there is bloat in there. There's definitely more appropriations that are necessary to actually run this municipality, and I found them. And I'm proud to have worked with Councilwoman Morandi last year to bring in a municipal tax increase that was around 1%. I'm not exactly sure of the number, but this year we're gonna also bring it in at around 1%. So when you have professionals who know what they're doing and know what they're looking at in a budget, yes, you can stabilize taxes.
David Cassidy, please.
Look, there's only so much we can do in Red Bank. We have a lot of nonprofits on the rolls, and the master plan for 25 years said to try to limit expansion. We can't do that. We can't tell people what to do with their property. Let's just be candid and let's be honest about what the reality is. Last year's increase benefited specifically because of the first time of the hospital bed tax. It put in about $450,000 into the municipal coffers. That was a state function. We have to be honest with ourselves. We benefited. If we hadn't had that, it would have been a big problem. I want to respond respectfully to Ms. Fleming. I don't agree with this combining of the fire departments and shared services. That's what we call penny wise and pound foolish. We are fighting for an equitable budget with the fire department. We are volunteers. We are the best value in Red Bank. Best value in Red Bank. And we should just be we should have responsive leadership that comes to us and says, how can we help you? How can we support you? And I see smirks on faces in the audience. I've seen them all night. And I will be far more respectful to you than I have been getting treated tonight. Thank you.
Nancy Facey Blackwood, please.
Oh, okay. Regarding trying to keep our taxes flat, in Monmouth County, it's one of the trial counties where our tax rate is based on our property value that is based on market value as opposed to what the property actually is. So even if we held the tax rate down because property values are going up, we're still going to have to pay more. That being said, we are doing everything that I see happening to keep the budget flat, keep the tax rate flat. But also at the same time, you have to recognize there's 17 employees in the DPW department that are keeping our streets clean. You don't have an HR person. We don't have a business administrator. So how are we going to do that? And that's the solution that we would have to work on. Regarding our buildings and getting things fixed, grants, public-private partnerships, and finding other ways to be more efficient. Thank you.
John Jackson, please.
Thank you. I do want to echo what Councilman Ballard did say, that when you have professionals in place, tax stabilization is absolutely possible. But another way of keeping our taxes stable is something that I actually had mentioned back in November when I ran for council at that time, which is looking for new revenue streams. For example, I'm on the parking committee, and can we look at how much we're charging, to charge an electric vehicle? Can we get more competitive with that charge to increase, revenue for the town? So that's one thing that I would do if I end up on the finance committee, or if I'm working with the person who's head of the finance committee or the CFO. I would say, let's identify new revenue streams. What have we not unearthed yet? We know our taxes are high, but let's look for new opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And Sean Murphy, you're next.
Lower your taxes. I told you I'm going to lower them. Would you believe it? It's not happening.
I believe you, Sean.
But I do believe Councilwoman Miranda and Ballard and Ziprich and them have done a very good job at maintaining a flat rate. I hope to continue that. What else can we do? We're still in the water business, Red Bank. Every now and then we look at that. I think we need to look at it again. I'm not saying sell it. I'm not a fan of selling any of our assets in town. There was a time, I believe, that the water company offset our taxes by like $800,000 a year. I don't believe we're at that anymore. I believe maybe it's a few thousand, and then you take out what we're spending on repairs. Let's revisit that. Also, look at the infrastructure bill. We should be money out there in grants we can get to fix some of this stuff. We need to go after the money. It's our money. Thank you.
Christina Bonatakis, please.
Thanks. I think I already mentioned that in reality, the opportunities for us to reduce spending are pretty limited, though we can be more protective of our capital investments through maintenance. It's just amazing to me, though, that there seems to be some pride on this stage about the recent budgets, when really is when they tried to keep us flat. The outcome was underfunding things like our volunteer firefighters. I'm not okay with that. I don't think that's the right direction. I think we need to be real here. We need to look at allowing new ratables potentially. And we also need to limit the encroachment of nonprofits like Riverview onto properties that would otherwise provide tax revenue for the borough. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, Kate Trigiano.
Thank you very much. Much of what I would have said has been said. Public-private partnerships to address our municipal facilities. You can see our neighboring towns have used that to overhaul their municipal facilities. Parking revenue, while I was on the council, I worked to have the parking, it was only being charged till 6 p.m. Now it's till 9 p.m. If you look to other comparable places, they charge much later than that. That's parking revenue that goes right back to our residents. It's a direct benefit to all of you. I'll speak about the elephant in the room, cannabis revenue. Cannabis has been legalized. Cannabis is coming to Red Bank. It's happening. Let's make sure that that revenue directly benefits our residents. Let's make sure that you feel a positive impact from that revenue. And lastly, I want to say, on the Red Bank Together walk card, they say keep municipal taxes flat. They don't say stabilize, they say flat. I'm looking for a cultural shift in our politics where we are not trying to fool people into voting for us anymore. We need to talk real about the taxes. We need to talk real about the tools we have at our disposal. But going around and lying to people and saying you're going to keep their taxes flat is not right.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it for the questions that for the council candidates. So we're going to ask each of you to give a 60-second closing statement. And we're going to start with Michael Ballard.
Again, I want to thank the Red Bank Green for hosting us here and thank all the audience members for participating. In closing, I'd just like to ask you to support the Red Bank Together ticket. I think our ticket is comprised of professionals who have the experience, as Sean mentioned, to run Red Bank as the business it is. Flat taxes are available to residents. Again, we've proven it. We've done it 2 years in a row. We kept a 1% municipal tax rate. So it is possible when you have the right people in place doing the right thing for residents. Thank you.
Ben Forrest, please.
Thank you for being here tonight. I have a lot of powerful memories in this room. You know, my grandmother went here and graduated in 28. My father, when it was high school, this was a high school then. So I love being up here. I love being in our schools. I'm very proud to have served our kids in the Red Bank Board of Education. And if I don't win, I'm probably going to continue in that role. But I hope you, I hope you vote yes for our team. I also wanted to say that Billy Portman is doing an amazing job as our mayor. And I think you should support him. He's really good at the council meetings, and the usual critics come and attack him, but actually he's learning fast and holding up well. And I'm hearing really good things when I go door to door about our mayor. And Kate, you've got to be the most gutsy councilwoman I've ever seen. I've been going to council meetings since '96, and no one's more attacked than you. And we don't always agree on everything, but I love you.
Jacqueline Sturdivant, please.
What want to thank everyone for coming to the event today. And again, I apologize I wasn't able to see you in person, but hope to see you soon later this week. I was originally attracted to Red Bank because of its diversity and inclusion in neighborhoods, and I decided to make this my home. I am a corporate strategy and product management executive with experience in the education industry and also telecommunications. I also have a Wharton MBA and a Master of Science from the University of Virginia. And with those skills, I know how to plan and I know how to get things done. And that's in multiple business models, that's for-profit, not-for-profit, and also government. So please vote for myself and the Red Bank Together team. Thank you.
Christina Bonatakis.
Thank you. So this election is ultimately not about the specific issues we've discussed here, but about who you think is competent to shepherd in a new and positive era for Red Bank. On the Red Bank's Ready team, we've already been serving. We've been showing up. We've been getting things done. We're past the honeymoon period. We have all been involved for so long that we know what's going on and we can jump right in, and yet we persist in doing this. I'm so proud to be running with this team. They're amazing folks. They're incredibly competent. I also want to call out Kate Trigiano specifically, without whom I would not be standing here. She has raised me up time and time again, not because we agree on everything, but she knows I care and I will show up and do things for this town. So thank you, Kate. That's how this should work. And I'm very sensitive that we are inspiring more young people to do the same.
100%.
Nancy Facey Blackwood, please.
Thank you all tonight for having the opportunity to speak with you. As you can see, our town is at a crossroads. And what we would like to do, the Red Bank's Ready team, is we want to move forward, have a council that prioritizes policy, legislation, transparency, accountability of our council, of our manager, and provide him or her with the direction with the policies to set Red Bank forward. We want to prioritize our 5-year plan. We want to prioritize capital programs and such. My personal focus is sustainability, and I try to live with the preservation of our resources because the earth will survive the future, but will we? So I hope to inspire others and activate initiatives to get Red Bank moving in the right direction. The Red Bank's Ready team has the experience, the values, the vision to make Red Bank great for Red Bankers and make it a town our state will be proud of. And last but not least, come to the Green Fair Thursday evening in the gym. Thank you.
David Cassidy, please.
I'd like to thank John and the Red Bank Middle School first and foremost for hosting us. Win or lose, I'm going to be a resident of Red Bank. I will support and serve Red Bank continuously. Red Bank politics were very broken. We're in a historic election. There's a reason. The Red Bank residents saw that there was a problem. A referendum was passed. The people that supported the old system, unfortunately, they're on the opposing slate. They benefited from it. They benefited from the old boss politics system. The people who broke that system, are on the Red Bank's Ready slate. They deserved a lot of credit for that. I'm running with reformers. Reform is not something that stopped when they ran and passed when that referendum passed. Reform will continue. We need people that are going to look to the future. They are going to be supportive of all residents, and they are going to follow through on further reform on behalf of Red Bank. I appreciate the time here tonight. Thank you.
Laura Janelle, please.
Well, I want to thank Red Bank Green and John for hosting, and the middle school for having us here, and for all of you for showing up. This was wonderful to meet so many people. I agree with the Charter Study Commission that you voted in, and it is time for a change. And I think there should be leadership that is ready to make that change. I agree. I love working with Kate and our new mayor, Billy Portman. I think that having young people that are so inspired to work on all these different committees and do all the work in town is just a wonderful thing to see. And I think together that we could make this change that our government has done. We can make it work if we have the right leadership. And I believe that the Red Bank Ready team is that leadership. Thank you.
Erin Fleming, please.
So first of all, I want to thank everybody who, while we're canvassing, has invited us into their homes. Some people, I stay probably too long. I see Bruce out there. I think I spent a half hour in your kitchen. But, you know, we all love the town. And at the end of the day, we need to bring together a group that has leadership. And something that hasn't been mentioned tonight, or a name that hasn't been mentioned tonight, is Tim Hogan. And he's at the top of our ticket for a reason. And I know that some of you in the audience might find his position problematic. But what I would say is, in terms of bringing people together and having management skills and leadership skills, the Red Bank Together ticket, topped by Tim Hogan, is the way to go.
Sean Murphy, please.
So like I said in my opening statement, I've lived here my whole life. I've been active in Red Bank for as long as I can remember. I do appreciate what you do on the fire department. I joined the fire department right out of high school for a short time. I was on it for, I don't know how long, 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe. So I wholeheartedly support our fire department. I've coached many parents' kids. That led me to get involved on the athletic board of rec, Parks and Rec. And then eventually I got off of that, thought it was over, and I was approached to join the zoning board. I love Red Bank. I'll never say no. I'll do whatever I can to better Red Bank and make it the best place we have. What can I say except vote for Red Bank Together? Tim Hogan, I'm following him.
Suzanne Viscomi.
I don't mind being the underdog. My campaign is pretty much grassroots. I Ubered for about a few months to pay for my campaign. I didn't want to be beholden to anyone except for the residents and the businesses. My team is you all. My team is everyone that needs help. My team that everyone's missing a voice. That's my team. And that's why I keep showing up. I have a better attendance record than some council members in the past and some volunteers on boards in the past. This is a big issue here in this town. There's not just the councils up. You realize the zoning board and the planning board could be reseated. You can. There's so much more at stake that you really need to not just have one team, right? That where's all this money that's coming from? Look at all the mailers we're getting. I'm being bold. On my website, Vote for Viscomi, I put out all my expenses so far. So you can see how I'm spending my money, how I have the budget, and how I can reach you all. And I wish I could get to every door, and I'm trying. But come, I'm having an event Sunday. Come have a hot dog with the underdog this Sunday at the rugby club.
John Jackson.
So Red Bank is at a crossroads. We've been faced with new forms of business and first of its kind legislation to regulate them. We've also seen two very different schools of thought emerge about how we should approach those businesses and Red Bank's future. On one hand, we have a council majority that supports a more methodical approach to things like cannabis. This is in contrast to those who would take a more permissive approach. So tonight, I'm speaking to everyone in that silent majority again. Red Bank's future is in our hands. We have a choice of which direction we want to take. Together on election day, let's do what's best for the residents. Let's do what's best for Red Bank. Please vote Red Bank Together. Thank you.
Linda Hill, please.
Thank you. Red Bank, if elected to the council, I will make decisions based on facts, the input of the borough's professionals, and our residents. I will seek consensus with my fellow elected officials, whomever they may be, from the people you see up here. I want to just give you an example of the way I would function as a council member. If I had been on the council since 2019, if my passion was the fire department, and if I also sat on the finance committee, I would have been fighting since 2019 to get their buildings fully funded, to give the firefighters what they need. I would have shown up to the finance committee meetings and not skipped them. I would not have used our firefighters in the way that they were used last week. If my message appeals to you, I ask you to vote for me and the Red Bank Together team. Thank you.
Kate Trigiano, please.
Thank you so much. I've served as your watchdog now for what's been feeling like a little too long. Even as recently as January 1st, this council majority introduced bylaws without even giving a copy of it to residents before the meeting that essentially restricted me from bringing any resolutions or ordinances to the floor without getting the majority of their support before even introducing it. How would residents have even known that that existed? I've fought for the fire department for years. Councilman Ballard tried to cut the money for the wheels, for the tires, for the trucks. And we talked about it in public, and we said, why would you do that? If we don't spend the money for the tires, it goes back to the surplus. When we had to get 2 new apparatus, which were 10 years overdue, I had to spar with him in public over that as well. I don't want to function that way. Everybody knows I work well as a team, or else I would have never done any of the initiatives that I have in the environment, in public safety, how I work with the police and how I work with the fire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for honoring the time restrictions. In that vein, I'm going to ask that everyone remain seated when we go into the mayoral segment here, which will be just less than 20 minutes. We didn't get a chance beforehand to see who would go first, so Brian's going to do a coin flip, and what we'll do is alternate A, B, B, A, that sort of thing, if that's okay with you two guys.
I'm good either way. Sure.
We're staying seated up here during the mayoral debate?
Yes.
That's a little strange, but I'm down.
I have to stand for a minute, Judge.
Mind if I use the restroom?
I'm gonna take a bio break.
Yeah, take a bio break.
Who goes first?
Good evening, Red Bankers.
Wait, can we just?
Tim, you're going to do your opening statement, please? You do. Very good, thank you.
Do you want to go use the restroom?
That would be great, yeah, if we could just take a break, that would be nice.
We want to keep this moving because
Okay,
we
have to sit
really
up
are
here
very,
with the
very
mayors
tight
while
for
they
time.
debate the whole time? Okay. That's very
90
strange.
seconds, please.
Okay.
Good evening, Red Bankers. I'm Tim Hogan, and I want to be your mayor. I still believe that all voters want to elect leaders who have the experience and integrity to get the job done. That's why I'm asking you for your vote on May 9th. I've lived here for 22 years. My wife and I have raised our family here. My daughter Kelly is a teacher at the primary school. We are Red Bankers through and through. Like you, I'm troubled and tired of the divisiveness of our local government and the political gridlock that serves as a real threat to our town remaining vibrant and strong. We need responsible stewardship and effective collaboration from our elected leaders, and they need to work together to resolve issues with measurable results that best serve the needs and interests of our town. My 40 years of proven leadership experience have given me the right skills to be an effective mayor. I've served on many boards and chaired organizations like the Community YMCA and the Monmouth Council Boy Scouts of America through difficult times and made them stronger. I put in the time and I've delivered. Traffic, parking, public safety, quality of life, senior and affordable housing, responsible business development, and consistent code enforcement. These are all critical issues that need to be addressed with ample attention and responsible action, not empty rhetoric. I have the experience and the skills needed to bring people together and responsibly get things done.
Thank you, Tim. Billy Portman, please.
Thank you, John and Red Bank Green, for hosting this debate. Listen, the residents of Red Bank are fed up with the way things have been operating. You elected me, a political newcomer, because you saw I was feeling the same frustrations as you. You overwhelmingly supported changing the way we elect our officials and the way we run our government because you were tired of business as usual and you wanted change. You don't get change. You don't get the change you deserve by re-electing the people at the heart of our dysfunction, the people who campaigned actively against this change, the people who want to keep things business as usual. And you certainly have to question the judgment of any candidate who would choose to run with them. I have really enjoyed my time as mayor so far. I've been very accessible and completely focused on doing the job. I do not think my opponent will be able to say the same. Tim, I have yet to hear a good answer from you on how being mayor of Red Bank and president of Riverview is not just a huge conflict of interest. This is not theoretical, by the way. Right now, there is ongoing litigation going on between Riverview and the borough over property taxes. That means for the last 7 years, you have been fighting for the benefit of the hospital and against the interests of the residents of Red Bank. Please elect me. I'd like to get a full term to support your interests. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy, you'll get the first question, which is, what would concern you most if your opponent becomes mayor?
Well, I just talked about it, the conflict of interest. The only thing I've heard, I've heard Tim say, well, he would just recuse himself if there was a conflict. First of all, that's an acknowledgement that there is a conflict. And second of all, the mayor is the leader of this, of the government. It's like having Michael Jordan on your team and sitting him in the fourth quarter. We need someone who's going to be 100% focused and committed on Red Bank. I've said this to Tim, this is nothing personal. We spent a weekend together, basically hanging out at events. I like Tim, I like his family. I don't see how you get past this conflict of interest. I really don't.
Tim?
Billy, the technical answer is that you would recuse yourself from an issue that involved Riverview Medical Center and the municipality of Red Bank if that occurred. In 20 years, that's probably happened 4 times, but that's the technical answer. I can tell you that when I'm out knocking on doors, the same doors you're knocking on, okay, I have yet to hear anyone say a word about a conflict of interest. When I tell them who I am, and I tell them where I work, and I tell them what I think, okay, I haven't heard anybody talk about that. They want to talk about traffic. They want to talk about parking. They want to talk about safety. They want to talk about infrastructure. They want to talk about development. Okay, they're worried. They want to talk about cannabis. The residents don't want cannabis in their neighborhoods. Okay, they want to talk about short-term rentals and the lack of code enforcement. I've seen you do nothing about that, Billy, in your tenure here in 5 months. I haven't heard a plan. I don't know what your idea is, and that's a problem for me.
Okay, the next question is for Tim. If you had to write a mission statement for Red Bank, what would it say?
Mission statement is I want to try to preserve the endurement of such a beautiful town. This is a great, great town. It has small-time charm. There's a lot of nostalgia to Red Bank. It's a place that has an electricity and it's hip. But we all know Red Bank is going to grow. So what we've got to do is make sure that we help Red Bank grow in a responsible manner. There's basic issues that need to be addressed. Traffic, roads, there's trash all over the place and it shouldn't be here. Development, how do we make it fair and honest? How do we ensure that public safety is going to be maintained and enhanced? These are all issues that we need to basically get to. These are core issues that need to be addressed before we can really constructively talk about strategic issues that we want to pursue to move Red Bank forward.
Billy Portman?
Listen, to solve these problems that we all know exist, we need to make sure that we have the right team in place. That starts with the change of our form of government, obviously, and the priority with that change of our form of government is having a strong business administrator. I know that several members of the Red Bank Together team campaigned actively against having a strong business administrator. In fact, Jacqueline Sturdivant passed legislation that weakened the powers of the business administrator and returned it to the council. Once we have that team in place, we can begin to tackle these issues. We need to have a long-term plan. I mean, one thing that I haven't heard brought up is in 8 to 10 years, Netflix is going to be opening up just down the road. We are going to be the town that is basically the main hub for Netflix. They're going to be coming here for restaurants, for shopping. So we need to have that plan in place.
Billy Portman, what is the foremost lesson of the 4-year shutdown and reconstruction of the senior center that might benefit Red Bank in the future?
Listen, I was, most of this was all happening before I was involved, obviously. I was aware of it peripherally. From what I can tell, having a capital plan, a lot of people spoke about it, making sure we're doing inspections, that we have a plan in place to support the borough-owned buildings, that we can support that infrastructure, keep it functioning. I mean, I went and toured one of the pumping stations with Gary when he was here for the DPW. And at this pumping station, he was like, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's an entire generator here that needs to be replaced. It's going to be a few $100,000. And right now, there's a relay switch that's not very expensive, but when this relay goes off, Doc Holliday comes and hits it with a stick to reset the system. So we need to be able to have some across the board money available to support our infrastructure.
Thank you. Tim Hogan?
Repeat the question.
The question had to do with the senior center. What is the foremost lesson of the 4-year shutdown and reconstruction of the senior center that might benefit Red Bank in the future?
Well, I think we lost a lot of time with the senior center. First and foremost, why would you do anything not to provide a complex to our seniors? Okay, we owe that to them, okay? They've helped make our town great. And yes, I do believe that there were things that were done by members of the council, one of whom is sitting to the left of me, to really obstruct that building being repaired on time, or even contemplate selling it for development. What are we all about as a town if we don't want to basically put our resources, our money, and our effort into ensuring that our seniors have a center to go to in good weather and in bad weather, okay? But efforts were made. It is documented that there were efforts to basically sell that, and that was basically supported by members of the council.
Next question, and Tim, you get this one as well. As Red Bank transitions to a new form of government, what do you anticipate will be the most difficult challenge for the new mayor in particular? And how do you plan to meet those challenges?
Well, like anything, I'm not a politician. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a dad, and I'm a person who wants to help Red Bank. I will rely very heavily on making sure that my time is spent hiring a dedicated borough administrator, which we haven't had in years. We've had people who've done multiple jobs in that role. I'm a borough administrator in the sense of being a president of a hospital, okay? This person is going to be responsible for running the business of Red Bank and run day-to-day operations. So what I want to do is I want to learn the town. I want to work to bring a new administrator in. I want to make sure that the council, okay, is doing what they should be doing, which is help to provide vision and strategy. And I want to start to tackle issues that we should, like traffic, parking, looking at the master plan, looking at safety, looking at the trafficking study of 2019, making sure we have adequate code enforcement.
Billy Portman.
Yeah, there's no shortage of items that need to be taken care of in Red Bank. Of course, you know, setting up for this new change of the change of government, that's going to affect a lot of things. It starts off, of course, with a strong business administrator. We haven't been able to get one. I know that the majority on the council tried to hire one recently, and we couldn't get any candidates because of the dysfunction here in Red Bank. So I'm hoping to be able to show them that, hey, we're a team that's working together, and we can get a strong business administrator. One of my biggest roles as a mayor is to be listening to the residents, to see what your concerns are, what your issues that you're having are. That's why I've been holding open office hours. I don't know if a mayor has done it before in recent memory. I do it every Monday from 4 to 6. Residents have been coming in, letting me know what their problems are. And if we can fix them right away, we do. And if I can't, you know, we let the BA know about it and we work on it. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question before we go to closing statements, and that is, do you support making Broadwalk an annual event by statute so that it does not have to be reauthorized each year?
100%. It's a waste of resources to have this fight every year. We've been doing it for 4 years. We know how it works. It's an amazing asset for the town. I know some people have some issues with traffic problems it causes, but it brings people to Red Bank. And more importantly, it provides a gathering space for Red Bank to get together. You know, we were shut down for COVID for so many years. Our entire interaction was online, which gets a little toxic. So many people were out at the street fair, and I see people talking with neighbors that they haven't seen in a while. And that's a great thing about Broadwalk. It provides a community gathering place. I would immediately like to pass an ordinance that makes it an annual event.
Tim Hogan?
I can't disagree with everything that Billy said about Broadwalk. There are many things that are positive about Broadwalk. It does bring people out together. It is a place to congregate. It is a place to enjoy each other's company. But I think we've got to be careful with that. We've got to take it step by step. I'd rather have that be something that we examine from year to year, at least for the next year or so. There are obviously establishments that benefit from Broadwalk, but there are other establishments that don't. Okay, the traffic that we're going to have in town that's going to be caused by closing out Broadwalk is another concern of mine. So look, I support it. This is one of those things that you're not going to get everybody to agree whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. People have strong feelings about it, but let's be prudent. Let's be a little careful with it. We've got it going this year, and let's look at it at the end of the year, see if we can make any changes or see if we're going to make any significant changes to that.
Okay, we're going to go to the closing statements, and Tim, you're going to go first.
Red Bankers, I believe that this election is one of the most important that our town will ever undertake, and it raises a number of serious questions. Do you want leaders that listen, create consensus, and know how to get real results? Do you want a local government that fairly represents and protects our residents and businesses, one where all voices are heard? Do you want a visionary team with the experience and professionalism to manage the job of local government without the diverse gridlock we've been seeing in Red Bank for years? If your answer is yes, then please vote for me as mayor and our Red Bank Together team for council. As I said, I don't have any political ambitions. I'm a husband, a dad, a grandfather, and a man who loves Red Bank and just wants to see it thrive. I'm also a proven leader with over 40 years of management experience who helped turn a small community hospital into one of the state's leading healthcare institutions. Let's take this opportunity to reset our local government so that we can address critical issues with responsible stewardship, not empty rhetoric. We're better when we work together, Red Bank together. Elect me and our team, and I can assure you that Red Bank's best days are ahead of us. Thank you.
Billy Portman.
For the first time in a long time, you get to choose the direction of this town. And to me, it's a clear choice. If you supported changing our form of government, you should vote for the people who know it best, Ben and Nancy, who wrote the charter study. If you're concerned with public health and safety, vote for Laura Janone, who organized the COVID clinics for the VNA, and for Kate and David, both volunteer firefighters. If you care about the environment, vote for Nancy, our EC chair, and EC member Christina. If you care about effective and decisive leadership, vote for Kate, who has managed to pass so much progressive legislation against strong resistance. If you care about development, vote for David and Christina, both planning board members who were instrumental in realizing our new master plan. If you care about public schools, vote for Ben Forrest, our longest serving current board member. And if you care about seeing this change through, if you want to feel like you have a voice again, if you care about feeling seen and heard, please vote for me because I see you and I'm listening. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, I want to say thank you to all our candidates. I'm so glad that everyone was here participating, whether here in person or not. We certainly could have asked many, many more questions, but at least I hope you got some flavor of who the candidates are. I want to thank Brian Donahue for being our referee, staying on his feet for 2 hours. And thank you, John, and thank you to Jared Rumage and the Red Bank Schools for allowing us to use this beautiful room. So thank you very much. Good night. Thank you. Thank you very much.